Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks, Sr., your host, and this is Community Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an outstanding guest this evening, Mr. Vance Wyatt, and we're going to have a continuing conversation with him. He's been on the program before, and he was on the Lake County Board, District 14, newly appointed when the late Audrey Nixon's position, I think that was April, wasn't it? April of 2016, and he's been serving since then, but he's going to give us an update on what's been happening on the county board and any additional information. But ladies and gentlemen, in the world, I guess the nation, we have 1.3 billion.
In the nation or in the world?
This must be the world, 1.3 billion.
In the world, we have about almost 7 to 8 billion people roughly.
Okay, and Lake County Illinois has about 12.5 million, and of course the Lake County is 750,000. Now, we all cannot vote. We can only have representatives vote for us. And in District 14, we have Vance Wyatt representing us. Greetings, Vance.
Thank you, Dr. Brooks, for having me again.
We want you to tell our listening audience a little bit about District 14.
Sure. So District 14, so we have 21 districts in Lake County.
Okay.
All of them are broken up. We have about 34 to 35,000 residents.
Okay.
So my district, District 14 specifically, is primarily most of North Chicago. So half the districts in North Chicago, that's pretty much from Buckley over to 14th Street. And then we also have part of Waukegan. So we have west of Elmwood Avenue and Belvedere, or south of Belvedere Avenue in Waukegan, going all the way over to Lakehurst.
Okay.
Have all of Park City, and then pretty much everything in Waukegan on the west side of Green Bay Road, almost all the way up to Sunset Avenue in Waukegan, and then it has a little bit of Gurney that's right there between 41 and Waukegan Road. And then there's about 20 people that live in Lake Bluff, so I have a little cul-de-sac down in Lake Bluff as well.
Each district has a specific needs.
Yes.
But tell us about the needs for North Chicago.
So in North Chicago, of course, our number one need is a grocery store. That has been an issue that everyone has been trying to address, from aldermen to the mayor and people that run for positions.
Is that a county need, or is that just a city need?
That is more of a city need. North Chicago is unique, where we're one of the only few counties or cities that has no grocery store in it. Okay. There are some that are out west that have no grocery store, but of course those towns have less than 8,000 residents. But even Park City, which is in my district, has 8,000 residents in it. They have a grocery store, Aldi's. Okay. North Chicago, which is roughly 32,000 residents, we don't have a single grocery store. So in my current role, I don't really have a direct ability to bring up a grocery store. However, there's ways I can kind of circumvent my capacity and work with other groups. For instance, I'm working with a veterans group that wants to provide gardening to veterans that have PTSD and a way to cope with their PTSD. So what I'm looking to do is help them get property or land so they can actually grow fresh fruits and vegetables. Also be able to graze say some livestock as well. In return, I want them to actually open a grocery store in North Chicago. And it would be a non-for-profit, so all the proceeds would not go to some corporation. It would actually stay in that organization and actually help build it up to even possibly expand that grocery store to be larger, and also the food production that they have to hopefully be able to provide fresh food for everyone in North Chicago, and hopefully throughout all of 14th District.
Now, even though it's not a county board function, you still live in North Chicago, so you're definitely concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I live there. It's just like with the school district. I have a concern with the school district where, as a county board member, I don't have any direct control over that. We have a regional school board, which is elected by the citizens of Lake County as a whole. But we have our own school district that has its own issues going on. I just recently met with Superintendent Price and told him about some of my ideas and things that I've seen that since I've left the school district, what I think that should be changed. I definitely believe that we need to bring some programs that we've had back in the past. For instance, Academy of Finance, which is the program that actually helped me go through college without having to really study, because this was a program that was with curriculum that was designed by individuals that actually work in the field of finance. And when I got to college, I already knew everything. I was actually ahead of most of my peers. And unfortunately, in North Chicago, a lot of times our kids are not more or better prepared than other students that you may find in Lake Bluff, Lake Forest, Waukegan, or even Gurnee. So what we need to do is expand access to all of our kids with the educational opportunities that they have. So the ones that want to go to college, they actually have the foundation to succeed in college. Just recently, or I should say earlier today, actually, a gubernatorial candidate just actually announced that they, in a sense, they support a plan that's similar to my own plan. One thing I wanted to do, since the state is giving counties the ability to consolidate local governments, the big push down in Springfield is to consolidate townships. So we have Waukegan Township and Shields and Libertyville Township in North Chicago. But to me, I think something that's a little bit more pressing for North Chicago and Waukegan residents that are in the district, and even the ones that are, so half of Park City goes to Waukegan schools, is to consolidate our school districts. Currently in Lake County, we have 52 school districts. That's comprised of unit school districts like North Chicago and Waukegan. Then you have elementary and high school districts, which you find in Gurnee, which you have two elementary school districts and a high school district. It doesn't make sense to have 52 different superintendents for one county as a whole. It'd make more sense to go to a unified or unit school district per county level, which actually, since we have about I think it's $700 billion worth of taxable land in Lake County. Well, if we were to divvy up that money based on on a tax rate, you would see a lowering in property taxes for individuals that live in North Chicago, Waukegan, Park City, and even Gurnee. You may not see as much in Gurnee and Park City because their tax rates are relatively low compared to North Chicago and Waukegan, but in North Chicago and Waukegan, you would see a significant drop. For instance, North Chicago, you probably see about a 7% reduction in your property tax, 7% total of your property tax levy going down, just simply by going to a countywide school district system. And then it would also help alleviate some of the problems that we have in North Chicago with development, where you have people that are afraid to come into the schools because the school district has a reputation. Well, you eliminate the funding or the lack of funding issue because the kids in North Chicago get the same funding that they would have in Waukegan, Lake Bluff, Stevenson, Deerfield. Deerfield right now is ranked #1 in Lake County for school districts. Wow. You would have the same by going to my plan. Now, I don't have the authority at the county level currently. Okay. But if the state was to give the county board that ability, which is the first step to that process, we could actually get the same funding that you have in Deerfield and Lake Forest right here in North Chicago and Waukegan as well, and also Park City.
You mentioned the taxable land in south of us.
Yep.
Maybe like $2 billion, and compared to North Chicago, which is about 200 million. So that's a big difference.
Let's just talk about county board districts as an example, because my district is mostly North Chicago.
Okay.
My district is worth just the homes are worth $185 million.
Okay.
The district south of mine, which actually has part of North Chicago, part of Waukegan in it as well, their taxable land is $1.2 billion. Okay. That's just it's almost 10 times the value in homes in that district than it is in my own district. And that district has none of Lake Forest. It just has Lake Bluff, Waukegan, Gurnee, and it goes out to Wildwood and Grace Lake. And it just shows the disparity between communities in Lake County.
This is your district.
In my district compared to another district, just shows the disparity of wealth within Lake County as a whole, which we already know Lake County is the 47th richest in the United States of America. And, if we went to a county school district, that will help alleviate that cost or help in the school to prison pipeline that we've been dealing with, because the kids would have the exact same resources as a kid in Lake Bluff, Lake Forest would have received.
Mr. Wyatt, you have been serving since about June?
Yes.
June
13th.
June 13th,
of this
right?
year. Yep.
And I have talked with several people, quite a few people, because I'm a community activist in the district here, well, in the county, I should say. And it seemed they were very impressed by new generation leadership. How do you feel? You think we're on the right track, trying to get looking at a new generation leadership?
Absolutely. I am actually the first or the youngest person of color to ever serve on our county board. Not the youngest ever on the board, but the youngest person of color to ever serve on the county board. Lake County goes back to back to the times of the Civil War.
Okay.
So it's a really, really long history that we have here in Lake County, and it's truly an honor and a true blessing to represent the district that Ms. Nixon held for 35 years. She was truly a matriarch for our community and our county as a whole. And some people have tried to say that the new generation leadership, which is a model for my campaign, is to disparage her legacy, and it has nothing to do with that. Instead, it's about passing the torch from one generation to the next generation. When we all have children, or when we all, for the most part, have children, and we want our children to actually take over. Take over our homes, take over our land, and be able to build upon what we had. And that's what the new generation leadership really means. It's about passing on the torch from one generation to the next and building upon what we had before and moving forward. I think that we must do that within North Chicago. I'm a proud Warhawk. And I think that our community is going to rise like a phoenix. Not to get our birds mixed up, but we are going to definitely rise. We've had issues throughout the years, but a lot of those issues are being corrected, and we're moving in the right direction. I'm going to support all of our elected officials in North Chicago, Waukegan, Park City, and Gurnee, because we kind of, in a sense, we're pretty much a part of a symbiotic circle. Where what happens in one community affects us here in North Chicago, or what happens in Park City affects us here in North Chicago or Waukegan. We are all really interlinked in a way. A lot of people, move between North Chicago, Waukegan, Park City, or Zion on a regular basis. We're kind of all one big city, but we're kind of like one big community, but we're not really, we're different cities in a sense. But we have to work together in order to for this whole area to move forward. For instance, the Greater Development or Greater Development Waukegan Coalition, they have a plan to bring a convention center downtown Waukegan. Well, by having that convention center, North Chicago can have hotels, which means we're going to, in a sense, profit on what Waukegan has. Waukegan's going to get some money. North Chicago gets some money. If Park City decides they want to have a hotel in their community, they would be able to make a profit off of that as well. We already know Gurnee has tons of hotels out there because of Six Flags. They'll be able to make some money off of that currently. Just like here in North Chicago, any hotels in Waukegan and Gurnee make money off of the graduation that happens at Great Lakes. We all have that we're a big circle, and what one affects us all.
Yeah, when Mayor Hyde was, he and his wife made the front page of the paper, had his hands crossed, fingers crossed, that the casino would come in. Now, had that casino had come in, then all the areas, the towns and cities would benefit from that.
Yeah, so the last plan for the casino, it was supposed to go over in Fountain Square in Waukegan. And if it goes in Waukegan, what's going to end up happening is Waukegan will take 50% of the money.
Okay.
Park City gets 25%, and North Chicago gets 25%. So those are the areas that are, the other cities that are surrounded by Waukegan. They're going to get a share of that money. Now, if it was to go into Park City, Waukegan and North Chicago will get 25%, or if it went in North Chicago, Park City and Waukegan will get 25%. And we would all share in the actual the proceeds from that casino. I don't know how likely it's going to happen, but if it is to happen, it will be somewhat of an economic boom for our community.
But the examples go on and on and on, as you were mentioning. If that's the Naval Historic Museum, if that comes in, then other areas would benefit to it also.
Absolutely. You know, that's something, there was, I think it's $40 million that they're putting in for the Navy Museum in North Chicago. That's going to be a boom for our community in North Chicago, but it's also going to affect all the residents of the 14th District, because their individual cities will have more people coming into their community, buying food at their restaurants, being able to stay at their hotels just to visit this museum that is going to be in North Chicago. And it's going to be a national museum. It's not going to be a state or just a local museum. This is going to be a national museum, so you're going to get people all over the country, and hopefully even across all over the world, to come visit our Navy Museum here in North Chicago.
And it's a goal because it's has already started on the base.
Yes.
And it just will be an expansion
Yep.
into the city of North Chicago.
Yeah, and that truly is going to be a blessing for the community and help further that Sheridan Crossings project that the city has.
Well, let's tell us about the county board now. Tell us how you were recommended by the county board chairperson, and he had a similar background that you had. I think he started in the rear of the county's seat, was 27 years old, and he worked his way up to the chairman.
Yeah, so Chairman Lawler actually was a library trustee before he became a county board member.
Similar to you?
Similar to me. That was the first position I ever held. And then the only difference is he became board president of the library board. I became president of the park district because I was elected to the park district in 2015.
Okay.
And then at the age of 27, we both got on the county board. We both had just got our MBAs, and he was also raised by a single mother, just like I was raised by a single mother.
Okay.
So his father was living and then had passed away, and throughout at a point in his life, just like my father had passed away when I was 13. And there was a lot of similarities between us. The only difference is he was from Libertyville, and I'm here from North Chicago.
Okay.
But the stories are right here in Lake County. We all kind of have, like I said, go back to the symbiotic circle. We all have similar stories that are that's translatable in other communities.
Okay, but what are some of the challenging experiences you had coming from you're from North Chicago to the county board?
So, since I'm one of the few, there's only 2 minorities on the board.
Okay.
Some issues that may affect minority communities specifically
Okay.
may not be easy for other individuals to understand. For instance, we have overcrowding in the jail in Lake County.
Okay.
If I take off the suit and put my earrings in and wear jeans, I would look just like a lot of the kids that are currently locked up, or I shouldn't say kids, but young men and women that are locked up in the jail currently. There was one, I actually came to a meeting once with my earrings in, just to show, that it's not, all it takes, you can look a certain way, and I still have the same degrees that they do, that my fellow board members have. But, just because you may perceive me differently because of how I'm dressed does not change the person I am and on the inside. And a lot of the kids that are in the jail, or young people that are in the jail, are really smart. They have really intelligent. They just may have went down the wrong path, and what we need to do is try to find a way for them to move into the right direction. So one thing I've been trying to do since I've been on the county board to help promote jobs is to try to get local tax credits. So the county would offer tax credits to businesses to hire individuals that have a past criminal history.
Okay.
So a lot of people that go to jail, they're not able to get a job. By having these tax credits, in a sense, we're incentivizing them to come to Lake County. And then the next step, once we get them to come to Lake County, we go to North Chicago, Waukegan, and Park City, and Gurnee, and get the local cities to offer similar tax credits to get those businesses in the communities that actually need those jobs. So that way, individuals that are in the community that have an issue with transportation, maybe they have lost their driver's license or something along those lines, they're able to come they're able to just walk to work because it's right there in the community that they live in. And that's one thing I'm really focused on, and I think it's going to be really key. The state and federal government do have similar programs to that, which is fine for the state as a whole, but Chicago has 5 million something people, down there, and we're not offering any tax credits up here. We're going to miss out on that, and that's why it's key for us to actually get those programs or tax credits here in Lake County, and then hopefully within North Chicago, Waukegan, and Park City.
I assume a great challenge is that you walked into the former District 14 seat there on committees, and one is a major committee, is the Judiciary Committee, right? But she was the chairperson of it, and you have to work your way up the chairperson.
Yes, I do sit at
But you have some of the same challenges.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the committee.
You know, we had, we just, at the last county board meeting, we actually just approved our federal and state legislative agenda.
Okay.
And one particular package, or piece of that package, was reinstating driver's license for individuals. So the county, even though we have a court system, there's limitations on what we can do because we're a county. We get our power from the state. The state we have to lobby the state to allow our judges here in Lake County to be able to reinstate these driver's licenses to individuals that may have lost it due to a DUI or whatever reason they may have lost it. And that was one thing that was taken out. Myself, Commissioner Cunningham, we've actually fought to keep it in. Also, the other commissioners, actually the whole board or the whole committee voted in favor of it. We kind of went back and forth on how to do it. The first motion actually failed, but we were able to get it approved. But we worked together on finding a way to actually accomplish the goals of accomplish the goal of actually helping people within this community. And it doesn't necessarily just hurt minority communities. It does affect individuals that are, say, in Fox Lake or Round Lake as well, that may not look the same as individuals here in North Chicago or Waukegan, but the same need is there. You know, I can speak to a lot of individuals that have lost their licenses due to DUIs. You know, giving them the opportunity to have a second chance is key for them to actually be able to be productive citizens. And it's important that we give individuals that may have, messed up before, but are willing and are wanting and are willing to actually turn their lives around, to actually give them the opportunity to make a change.
You mentioned more job opportunities and so forth. Talk to us about the court expansion. Now, everyone in the counties is concerned about that.
Yeah.
And and about the need for it and so forth.
Okay. So currently there is the new building that's going up next or adjacent to the jail and between the county, the courthouse and the tower, the county tower. Some people have said it's a new jail. It's not a new jail. It's a new courthouse. And the reason why we're being required by the Illinois Supreme Court to actually expand the courthouse. And with that courthouse, it's going to have more courtrooms. Now, there were supposed to be 2 additional floors on there, so it was supposed to be 10 stories, just like the county tower of all courtrooms. Well, due to budgetary reasons, those 2 floors were held back. With the way they designed the building was so they could add 2 floors at a later time. But currently, the reason why we need it is if you look at all of our courtrooms are packed on a regular basis, and that's because we have too many judges and not enough courtrooms. The county board office or the county board room, along with our committee room, is actually being used right now as courtrooms as well. So that's why there is a need for it. There's not enough space for the courtrooms that we're required to hold and maintain. Now, the county board or the county as a whole, we actually adopt a budget for the judge or the courts as a whole, and we don't get any money from the state for that, but they're requiring us to expand the courthouse without giving us any money.
Unfunded.
Exactly, an unfunded mandate that the state has put on the county. And they're the ones that actually increase the number of judges that we have. The county board, nor does the chief judge have the authority to expand the number of judges. That's all controlled by the state. The state is mandated us to take on 3 new judges over the last 2 years. So now we have 2 new judges, and we're about to have a 3rd new judge. But we have to actually comply with what the state is requiring of us. And they're not paying for it, so that's why the county had to pay over $120 million to expand that courthouse.
Wow. You mentioned, while we're on courthouse, you mentioned about 3 new judges, but we don't have any Well, I can say we have minority judges. We don't have any African American judges now since Judge George Bridges Sr. retired.
Yeah.
Now we don't have any judges.
So the way we get judges in Lake County, or not just Lake County, but all of Illinois, we have elected judges. So our judges actually have to run. Just as I'm running for the county board, all of our judges have to run. And then, unfortunately, we haven't had any African American judges outside of George Bridges to run for a seat to sit on the bench. But that is something that is needed. We need individuals to run for the circuit court, appellate court, and then also the sub-circuit as well. Right now in North Chicago, we have we have two people that are up right now for election, or two of our judges that are up for election. Neither one of them are African American. But it's just as if if I didn't run for county board or was to run for park district, you can only blame me for not running. And I think that we need to recruit people. So I think that since we have the Lake County Bar Association, we have a number of great lawyers. We may want to look to see if we can try to recruit some of them to run for those seats.
So most of the lawyers, I guess they find it more profitable to
be a lawyer.
Profit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I can't control we can only give them so much money for salary. We can't, give them, if you have a lawyer that makes $1 million, I can't give them a salary as $1 million as a judge. For instance, for the county, our highest paid employee is a doctor, actually, with the coroner's office, someone that actually does autopsies. That was the most pathologist that we had that's there. That's the most expensive or the highest paid employee that we have for the county. We have to pay within regular limits, so we can't give exorbitant salaries. But we try to pay people the best that we can with the limited resources that we had. Just for instance, at the courthouse this year, we cut their budget was cut 2%. Because we needed to try to save some money somewhere. So a lot of the different departments actually received cuts throughout this budget that we just approved back in November of this year. The only issue that I had with the budget, because they tied the budget and the property tax together, was a 2% increase in property taxes. North Chicago, we pay 18% in property taxes, Waukegan 16%, and then Gurnee and Park City is about 10, almost 11%. So I voted against the property tax levy in the budget, which was tied together, because I can't see us adding more property taxes onto that 18 and 16% rate that we already pay. But there were some good things that were done in that budget. From mental health to the workforce development department that we have, and also the summer jobs that we have. But the thing is that tax increase. How can we continue to ask people to pay more in taxes when we're not providing the high level of services, where I only have a slim portion of their tax bill, but I understand what everybody feels in my district. They don't want to pay more in property taxes, which is why I couldn't vote for that property tax increase.
Well, Mr. Vance, you have a heavy load on your shoulder because, North Chicago is primarily African Americans and Hispanics, leaning on you for more representation on, for instance, contracts for jobs. I should say jobs for local businesses. We have this expansion going, but what's the percentage of minorities are included in that expansion?
So for minority contractors or the companies, to my knowledge, there is no minority contractors on that project as a whole. That started before I was on the board. So I can't really, I wasn't able to put any stipulations. Somebody have said I should have been able to put stipulations on that project. That happened 4 years before I started got on the county board. But we have in North Chicago, we have the Marion Jones redevelopment, which is currently going on in place right now. I actually called the developer, which is in Atlanta, the general contractor, which is in Joliet, the housing authority out from Grays Lake, and we all met at the county building. And we were trying to figure out how can we actually get minority contractors on this project. So there's a federal mandate in regards to all of housing authorities contracts where they have to have 30% minority contractors. We had a meeting over at the Falls Park District Youth Center where we had a whole bunch of different minority contractors. Some came up from Chicago, but they would look like the individuals that you find in the community. And those companies are able to hire individuals within the community to work on those projects. That was something that was done within the last 2 or 3 months since I've been in office. Because the issue was there was a company from Joliet that didn't hire anyone that looked like the community. And that was a concern that I had, a concern that Commissioner Cunningham, and also brought Mayor Rockingham into that meeting as well, to try to address this and try to figure out how can we actually get this information out to the community and actually get individuals on that project that look just like the people that live in in our community. So that the subcontracting part is still going on. I'm waiting to see how many people we get that are minority contractors. We did have some minority contractors that have been on, from my understanding, on the general contractor, so the main contract for that project. But some of them were coming from all the way from Kentucky. One was coming from almost out in Iowa. But we were trying to find someone local. Try to keep this money locally, get them on some of these big $1 million projects, and even the companies that are here. Break down some of the subcontracts so that they can get on it. That project specifically, we're breaking it down to $100,000 increments, so that way a smaller company can get on board, build their capital up, so that they can actually take on a $20 or $30 million contract, just like that project. And the goal is to hopefully get all of our companies that are local onto those kind of projects, so that they can actually be the general contractor.
As a community activist, my telephone is always ringing continually, and we only have one qualified contractor. I guess in Lake County. It's hard to believe it. Only one.
There's and depending on what type of how the project's being funded, can determine on what would be considered qualified. So on that particular project, Wallace was one person that was qualified for that project, which got a paving contract. But there's so many different contracts that are out there that Lake County does, that other cities do, that even some private companies do. And the goal is to try to get those individuals into those kind of contracts. But the thing is, we have to figure out how they get qualified and help them work to get to that point. So that's one thing we have to work with the Black Chamber of Commerce to actually help individuals grow themselves, and not even just go to the Black Chamber of Commerce, but also have the North Chicago WAUKEGAN Chamber of Commerce to help build those companies up, those smaller companies, to help them build up, because those are their members. They should be providing the resources and help building and getting them the training so they can take on these big contracts. So those contracts that happen in town are being done by companies that are within those cities.
Strong economic development. We have, I know the county is reaching out, and I think when I was active, they had companies from England even, vying for to come in. Or we going out and trying to get them to come in. But we have to offer them, I guess, enticement, I guess, to come in, right? Because businesses are leaving here, going to Wisconsin.
Just as I brought up earlier, trying to provide tax credits for businesses to come in here and also hire individuals that are here. We have a select employment pool here, and we need to figure out how can we get individuals hired. Now we do have, some really good. We have a really good university, or not university, but College of Lake County. Then we have individuals that go to colleges that are in the city, and they live out here. We have the employment pool. We have to help people get those jobs and make sure that they're staying here. We just had our 12th company move into Lake County, or Fortune 500 company move into Lake County. We're trying to prevent more companies from going across the border over into Wisconsin. We have Uline, which is in the process of leaving. We're also trying to prevent Abbott and AbbVie from moving outside of the state, and then we're also looking at trying to get Amazon headquarters too here in Lake County. That's something we've been pushing for. Also, Mayor Cunningham and Waukegan has been pushing for it as well. They have a new distribution facility here in Lake County, and we need to work to build what we have here for companies and actually keep them and attract new companies to come here, and then also keep the ones that we currently have here. North Chicago, we have MCO and Jelly Belly as an example, and then Waukegan, I already mentioned Amazon. We've lost part of Cardinal Health, but there's Abbott and AbbVie still even in Waukegan and also in Gurnee. We have to make sure we're providing a strong economy for these businesses and actually entice them with some type of tax credit sometimes, or just working with the company to make sure we can keep jobs here in Lake County and in the 14th District.
Yeah, the county is has been doing a great job in trying to keep businesses and so forth. Matter of fact, the late Arthur Nixon was part of a committee to keep Great Lakes in Fort Sheridan here. I guess we lost Fort Sheridan with Great Lakes here. Now it's very close. The voting was between, I think San Diego, Great Lakes, and Florida. There's Naval Station, Florida there, but Great Lakes was selected.
Yep.
Out of the three, I think it's by one vote, it was selected. So the county has been have their, hands filled in trying to keep businesses, and I could say even military installation here.
Yeah. And that's the #1 employer for Lake County. That's if you include public and private. This #1 employer in Lake County is the Navy base, followed by Abbott Laboratories.
Well, another challenge for you is contacting constituents. How do you reach your constituents?
So I actually have a number of different ways that I reach out to my constituents. So of course, there's the old way of doing paper.
Okay.
Unfortunately, with the county, we get the option of doing email newsletters, or we get to do paper newsletters.
And I got some information. Yes. And it's actually it's kind of expensive, I guess, reaching the whole district. Right?
Yeah. So I did a Christmas card or holiday card to my entire district that cost over $2,000 alone.
Okay.
We only get $7,000 for the year of what we get to do for constituent services.
Okay.
So I haven't really been doing a lot of printing aspect or posting or postage. I've been doing a lot more Facebook and email newsletters. But the other thing for the individuals that don't have a computer, that don't have the ability to do it, is I send out postcards of inviting people out to my coffee with your county board member meetings. For instance, this Saturday I actually have my second coffee county board member meeting this year. I have one every quarter now. I'm having another one in February of 2018. And I try to make sure that the information is conducive to the community. So I try to do it throughout the district. So the one coming up is actually in Waukegan. It's closer to Gurnee, so it's going to be the ideas and the topics are going to be more geared to that part of the district versus down here in North Chicago and Waukegan, where it may be a little bit different. But just making sure people understand these are the services that the county has, because so many people don't realize what the county actually does. All the different pots that we're, in a sense, cooking in a sense all at once, because the county is such a diverse government agency. We have 64 quasi-county government agencies underneath the county that the board, or the county board chairman actually appoints members to these various boards. It's over 300 different people that he's responsible for appointing for. Just in North Chicago, some that affect us, Lake County Housing Authority, which is the Marion Jones. You have Stormwater Commission, which actually works with the city to alleviate flooding throughout the district in conjunction with the Forest Preserve. And then you have East Skokie Drainage District, which is on the in between North Chicago, Waukegan, and Park City, and actually helps the flow of water from, in a sense, the north all the way out of Lake County into Cook County. Those are different government agencies that may have one specific task, but they do an important job, especially with the gigantic flood that we had back in June of this year. or July of this year, we had a 140-year storm in North Chicago. And Gurnee, we had there was a 170-year storm for them. You can look at all the viaducts. You had viaducts up to 15 feet worth of water. Yeah. We have to try to deal with the serious issues that climate change has been causing us. And some of these little quasi-government agencies are actually dealing with it. The most recent budget we voted on for the Forest Preserve actually is to build out part of the Greenbelt Forest Preserve to actually hold more water, so that water isn't rushing into North Chicago, rushing it into Waukegan and into Park City over on the northwest side of the district. Make sure that those areas actually hold the water, so it's not coming in in their backyards and then into their basements, destroying their homes.
Well, in addition to your challenging experiences that you've had, and you have conferences that you, and that's, I guess, this is supposed to be a part-time job.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But I know you want to know how is it part-time, and you traveling, you have to be able to go, right? To increase your knowledge and everything. Yeah,
so I've actually only been to one conference since I've been on, or two, I should say two conferences since I've been on the board. The first one was actually the Young Elected Official Conference, which I was going to go to prior to becoming a county board member when I was just a Park District Commissioner, which is a conference where you bring in people that some of them are state reps, state senators, all the way down to school board members and park board members. They all go to this conference, and you learn how you can improve your community. And it's also a great way to network with other young folks and understand that you're not the only young person that's doing this craziness.
Right.
And the other one I went to was the National Parks and Recreation Conference on the Forest Preserve side, dealing with the issues with forest preserves and how to conserve nature, and also how to protect and deal with wetlands. For instance, we have wetlands in North Chicago and also in Park City as well. So it's important that we understand it and how much it's really going to cost us in a sense, so that way when we're making policy, we're not in a sense necessarily destroying the ecosystem or destroying something that's going to cause flooding down the road. And I think that by learning about these different things, you're going to be able to expand your knowledge really, and be, in a sense, be a better elected official representative of the people. I haven't had a chance to go to NACO just yet, which is the National Association of Counties. That's something I'm looking forward to go to later this year, or I shouldn't say later this year, later in 2018, after I get through the election. And then also I'll have, because we have to use that same expense account I was talking about, the $7,000. Those funds actually go to you traveling to these conferences as well. So you have a very slim amount of money that you get to use. So no, when I went to the Young Elected Officials one, I actually I paid for the whole conference out of my pocket, instead of putting it on the taxpayers. So.
Okay. Now, in addition to being a county board commissioner, you're also a forest preserve commissioner.
Yes.
But tell us the difference between those two and the duties.
Okay. So the Forest Preserve is similar to being a Park District Commissioner. The
same members.
So the 21 members of the county board are the same 21 members of the county board of Commissioners for the Forest Preserve. So we serve in both roles simultaneously. Typically, the actual board meeting itself is right after the county board meeting, typically 15 minutes.
Change hats. Huh?
Yeah, you in a sense change hats. Actually, they come flip your name badge for your county down. They flip it upside down, and they put the Forest Preserve right in front of it.
Okay.
But that role is similar to being on the Park District. The only difference is you're dealing with a little bit more ecosystems aspects of it, and say, for instance, population control in regards to deer. Different invasive species. For instance, I know we've been in the newspaper now about the deer management. There's certain forest preserves out west and south of here that there are sharpshooters that are removing deer from the forest preserve, and that's to help alleviate overpopulation from the deer, because once you get too many deer, they start coming in people's backyards. There was a point in time in North Chicago, Waukegan, where they were coming in everyone's yard. You know, and you would walk outside and you would see 3 or 4 deer just in your backyard, hanging out, eating your garden or your flowers. And because of the deer management system that we have in Lake County, you start to see that those populations they're not eliminating all the deer. They're just getting it down to a manageable level, so they're not just coming into people's communities. And all the meat in regards to that particular the deer management system, once they've been removed, is donated to the greater Northern Illinois Greater Food Bank Depository. So the meat is actually donated to a non-for-profit to help feed people that need meat, or food, I should say. And then on the county side, as we've been alluding to earlier, talking about the Law and Judicial Committee that I serve on, there's also Health and Human Services, so that's where CDBG funds from the cities get it if they're going to do any type of changes in regards to blight in their community, or for instance in North Chicago where they want to repair a sidewalk. That money comes from CDBG funds, which is actually administered by the county. There's AHC, which is the American Housing Commission, where the county actually provides grants and also low interest loans to people to help repair their home. That's funded through the Health and Human Services Committee at the county. There's a number of different things that we do on the county side. There's even the health department, which actually provides people that may have, say, Medicare or Medicaid, an opportunity to go to a clinic locally. And individuals that don't have insurance, they're able to go to the health department and actually get the necessary medical needs that they have by seeing a primary care physician or getting dental work or any number of different things. And the big thing we're pushing right now is in regards to mental health and the individuals that are addicted to any type of substance, a drug or something like that, say it may be an opioid or cocaine or crack. They are able to seek the necessary help that they need through the health department now. They're actually able, through the Way Out program, which is through the state's attorney's office, they're able to turn in their drugs that they may have, they're legal or illegal, turn them into the police department. The police officer will take them to the health department or one of our other sites throughout the county and get the necessary help without facing any prosecution, which is truly a real need that we have in Lake County as a whole. And for those individuals or family members that we may all have that may have faced some type of addiction or something. I'm sure we've all had at least one family member that we know that has faced an addiction. I know I myself, I have had family members that have faced addiction, and I think that this program is a great program to fund, and we should expand it even further. And that's one thing I'm working on doing with the state's attorney, Nerheim, to actually bring North Chicago, Waukegan, and Park Cities police departments and also their fire departments to be a part of those programs where you're able to turn those drugs into those police departments and fire departments and be able to get the necessary treatment to deal with your addiction.
This was a great idea, having health clinics scattered about. You have several health clinics scattered about.
Yeah, we have a ton of health clinics throughout Lake County.
I know North Chicago is very fortunate.
North Chicago has one. Waukegan has
Zion,
Waukegan's a few actually. Zion has one. Round Lake has one. There's one in Gurnee, or right on the border of Gurnee and another community. There's a number of them throughout the county. And then we even have cooperations with, say, Advocate Healthcare for communities that we don't actually have a current health department or current clinic in. We have various cooperations with North Shore, Advocate, Northwestern, to be able to deal with some of the needs for people, because there's only so much ability or capacity we have at the health department. So that's why we have to have those strong partnerships with these other healthcare providers throughout Lake County.
Is this annually that the department heads come in and give you an annual report?
So I haven't been there yet.
I guess for budgeting purposes.
For budgeting, yes. So we go through it's about 3 days worth of budget hearings that we go through.
Okay.
Pretty much from 8 or 8:30 in the morning to about this year was up to 7 p.m.
Wow.
The first day. and then the next 2 or 3 days it varies depending on how much more we need to go into. But yeah, you have all of your department heads. Some of them are elected, some of them are not elected, and they go through their budget, what they've done throughout that year, where they've used their money, what has actually been a good success for with the money that they've used, and why they should get money for, say, a program that they funded before, but they want to expand the funding a little bit, or if they wanted to get a new program. This year we did not allow any new programs, but as with the ability, with us getting more money in property taxes, we may see that change next year, though.
Well, we cannot close the program without talking about youth involvement in employment.
So that again, so going back to the youth summer jobs, it is a program that the county actually supplies the grant for. So the city of North Chicago, Waukegan, the city of Waukegan, the park districts, your libraries, your school districts, they have summer jobs for the kids. We actually are just, in a sense, cutting their check for them at the county, and those individuals they're managing them at the city or the park district or school district. And then it's just giving them an opportunity to learn about, how to maintain a job, what's expected of having a job. So many kids go throughout the year, throughout high school and even middle school without having to have the same level of discipline that, say, kids before had. There's not a lot of paper routes anymore. So. Those kids may not have those skills coming out of high school or even coming out of middle school to be able to have a job. But this program allows those kids to actually get a job and actually gain those skills. And I want to see it expanded. One thing I'm working on is trying to get the libraries, the park districts to, if they don't already allow 16-year-olds to work under their program, and depending on what type of job it is, to allow 16 to 18-year-olds to work in various different jobs on a year-round basis, so that way they're able to actually get a job and keep it throughout past the summer and keep it in during the winter, and that way they're able to have a check coming in, not just when they're out of school, but when they're in school as well. So that way they can actually take part in this little economic development that we have in the community.
You mentioned about paper routes. There's no building. We don't have a new Sun building anymore. So this paper is getting away from us. You know. So you serving, all county board commissioners serve as their community's advocate, really.
Absolutely, and I'm trying to continue to serve as our community's advocate here in the 14th district, which is why I'm running for a full term. My district is a little bit special. It's a Democratic district, so the election really is not in November. It's really in March, which is the primary, March 20th. So I am running to keep this position and to continue to serve the community that I love and grew up in. And I'm trying to make sure that the community knows that I'm here fighting for them and trying to address the issues that we've had. I've done that when I was on the park board, when I was on the library board. I didn't have 20, 30 years on those boards, but I have my little short window. I've been on those boards, having a track record of working for the community and improving the community. I can point to both the library and the park district that they're both better off since I left the board, both of those boards, versus some people that they've been there and then they really didn't contribute much. That's one thing that I offer and I have that a lot of people may not be able to say or can say about their track record or history in being in a position.
Well, boy, time really flies. Yeah. And I think this is your fourth time on a couple of times about the library and park district, and then the second time about your county board duties. And I want to show Lake County, not only District 14, but Lake County about you, your background, and why. Let them make a decision, on you want to sell yourself to show why you should be there. Yeah. And you sound like a seasoned commissioner.
Thank you.
But with your background experience, did I give you a chance to talk about a little bit about your background?
I think I did mention a little bit here and there.
Yeah, but let me give you a few minutes here.
Yeah, so I actually have a...
So that people know that you're not just a rookie.
Yeah, that's true. So I'll start at the education aspect of it. I have a bachelor's degree in management, a minor in public policy from National Louis University.
Okay.
I have an MBA in banking and financial institutions from Concordia University. And then I also have then in my political roles, I've served as a trustee for the North Chicago Public Library for 6 years. Okay. 3 of those years I served as the board treasurer. And then I did 2 years as the Park District Commissioner, 1 year as vice president, the second year as president of the board, and just got reelected as board president prior to becoming a county board member. Okay. And then I have in my professional roles, I've served as an auditor for Volkswagen Credit and Audi Financial Services, and then currently I'm working at CVS Health as a financial analyst, where I deal with about $1.5 billion worth of transactions annually. Mm-hmm. So that's about 3 times the size of the county board budget that I deal with personally in my 9-to-5 job. So I'm more than qualified to be a county board member, even though I'm much younger than a lot of people. I think that I have my resume. You can look to some of the people that are on the board that are 20 to 30 years my senior. Okay. I have a similar background that they do at the age of 27, and I think that I'm more than qualified to serve as a county board member, and I'm looking to continue to serve as a county board member after March 20th.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that when you were selected by the entire board, that showed, yes, that you say the chairman had a similar background in age. Yep. 27, starting from the rear and worked all the way to the front.
Yep, I sit in the back now.
And with the educational background and so forth, So this is, I just want to show Lake County that we're in good hands. Yep. Absolutely. A young commissioner has just as much or more experience than the one that's been at 20, 30 years. Yeah. This is very good. Okay, so we just want to repeat that you were appointed by the Lake County Board Chairman, supported by the full Lake County Board, unanimous to serve in the seat, and this was in
June of 2017.
June of 2017.
So
okay.
This year.
And now you serve the balance of the term as a result of the late Audrey Nixon in 4-year term.
Well, she was elected to a 2-year term, and I'm running for a 4-year term.
Okay.
So after the November election, I will serve until 2022.
And that election will take place March 20, 2018. Yep. So everyone is encouraged to go out and vote.
Yes, absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Community Forum. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host.